last three cities.
We're going on one in March.
Barely got seats. We were going downhill. I don't know if they just, because they know how many
Are we on?
officials there are. Maybe they just never had that kind of turnout. And I think everyone's kind of newly elected people. I think a lot of city council
Man.
Just getting out of the flavor cocktail for two type
They were bottling everything. They were bottling orange juice.
$200,000. Ready, sign both these, and can I
actually send these.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that story.
Sign it.
Yeah, pictures.
Oh, yeah. All that.
Ready?
So they were really.
Coming up. When's the litigation?
It was amazing. That's just
So first they go with just to make it out there.
I'd like to figure out how many stories I've written. I have no idea. No, I'm not one of the people who keep it.
Okay, welcome to the City of Lawrenceburg Utility Service Board for January 27th, 2020. Could I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Board Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Board Member Justin Nobbert.
Yes.
Board Member Tommy Roulette.
Present.
Board Member Lenny Fryman.
Present.
Board Member Brett Bondurant. Here. City Attorney Dale Weldon.
Here.
President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, announcements. I've got one just regarding the visit you're going to make to IMPA Tuesday, I believe it is, right? Tuesday. Probably ought to leave here about 2 o'clock. I think they wanted to meet at 4:30, so that'll give us about the normal time to get to Carmel. How many people are going? You can't. No. Right.
Lenny?
Lenny's going. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can figure out riding arrangements, things like that. But we can send a text or something. However you guys want to do it, you can figure it out.
All righty.
But anyway, just remember that we got to be there by 4:30. That's the only announcement I have for tonight. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then also we've got a second meeting. It was Utility Board work session on January 2nd, 2020. I'd like to get a motion to approve that.
I motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You mean February 2nd?
No, January 2nd. We're not quite yet to February 2nd. We're getting close though. Okay, committee reports, nothing, financial update. Colin, Brownie?
So you guys will all see the packet that I passed out. That will basically go through all the financials for 2019, electric, water, sewer, and fiber. I'll just run through them kind of high level with you guys, and then if you have any questions, feel free to come back and pick my brain about anything. So front page, we've got our statement of net assets, essentially our balance sheet. That shows our net position in each of our utilities. Second page is the year-to-date income statement. That's the 2019 profit and loss statement for electric, water, sewer, and fiber. Page after that is our month-to-date income statement, and that just shows just for December the financial performance of each utility. After that, I always do like a key performance indicator page that basically goes and shows how we are performing against benchmarks of other public power utilities. And I get these benchmark numbers from APPA, and they survey all electric utilities around the country to get these numbers. So that way we have something to compare ourselves against to see if if we need to make any changes. Next page is the statement of cash flows. This is just a general, you're going to see this with any business. Just shows what our actual cash flows were for the month. After that, I've got the cash balances. This is also important to look at. Each month we want to kind of see where we are cash-wise, and this shows where we are every month with cash. And the next page is just basically a graph that breaks down visually each month. You can kind of see where we are cash-wise. After that, this is something I did. I don't usually do this, but I thought, we're at the end of the year, this might be good. This is basically just a management summary of our balance sheet from first quarter of 2017 through December of this year. And I think it's important to look, our total net position has greatly, or not greatly, but it's definitely increased or stayed relatively flat, in each one. So I think these kind of line items are the important ones we want to look at. We want to make sure we're looking at cash. We also want to make sure we're looking at our accounts receivable. We're looking at, total assets, what we're doing in projects. So this will be an important thing to look at going forward to try and kind of get a visual of the total financial picture of the utilities. And I did one of those for each of the utilities. It looks like it got out of order. I think that first one is water. The second page is electric. And the third page, the page after that is basically a visual representation of the numbers. And it has a little trend line on a net position to kind of show where we're trending based on our historical averages. Other than that, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. I know, you guys are probably going to have a lot of questions in the coming months. Looking forward to working with everybody. I think we've got a great opportunity. So any questions about anything at all, feel free, text, call, email, stop in my office. I'm always free. So I'm more than happy to help out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions? Thank you. Moosh, any fiber update for us?
I do, actually. Before I get into that, right now I'm just going to talk a little bit about where we're at with respect to the construction and some of the bigger projects. Had a meeting earlier this morning with Mr. Weldon, and I think I have a firm understanding of exactly what he would like to see and what the council would like to see. And I'm going to work closely with Mr. Weldon, and I will have a draft for him next week. And then we're going to meet weekly until he's comfortable, and then we'll jointly present to the council with respect to a full financial pro forma and a full business plan for the fiber utility. With respect to what's going on out in the field, right now, we're hoping to have Riviera done this week. They had to move one of their buildings, so that put us back a couple of weeks. We ended up having to move our Volt there, which is our primary feed into Riviera. The company itself, they're going to pay for us to move it because we asked them 3 times. They marked the spot, we put it there, and then they decided that we want to move it. So, but that was already taken care of. So we're looking to have customers starting to get connected at Riviera by the next week. Actually, I would say 10 days, 10 business days, and those will go up. Other spots, I have a schedule if you want me to go through it, or I can send it with the full report when I talk to Dell.
Well, you can send it, but I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
If I could. How many people are we getting hooked up per day now?
We're getting 2 a day.
2 a day.
Correct. So on better days we have 3, but generally, from a standpoint, that's what our guys, our internal guys, are doing, not contractors. This is LMU staff doing about 2 a day.
And how many do we have in the backlog? How many people do we got signed up that need to be hooked up?
Well, just at Riviera, I have 60 that have not been hooked up.
I mean, but what's the total in the city of Lawrenceburg?
Total city, I believe we have a backlog, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, about I'm still there. So another, and then we have about 160 right now that are connected.
So 160 connected, probably 110 that need connected? Okay.
Correct. And people still calling and wanting to get on the schedule. Every day somebody comes in and signs up. The bigger projects that I am trying to get the contractor to put priority for is, as soon as he's done with Riviera, which should be in a week, the LCD, Lawrenceburg Conservancy District, they have 3, we had total of 4 pump stations. 3 are remaining that need to be connected. This is very important, and these are commitments that were made last year.
Is that for the SCADA project?
So that's in the works. Then, of course, the hotel, which is huge. We installed the wireless equipment there last Thursday. So right now, we're all good to go. They have their first customer already booked for April 1st. So we just need to finish up our testing, do the cutover with their Hilton corporate as well as AT&T. And we have a couple of meetings that will involve you and Mr. Weldon, as well as myself and Crystal, so that we can finalize the last piece of the pie, so that we can get them fully on board. Other than that, I had a meeting today with Civista Bank, and we've connected the bank on Walnut Street. They were very happy. They reached out to us last month, said we want to get our other banks connected. So went and looked at the one on Eats Parkway. That one's going to get done. I told the gentleman 3 weeks. I was told that we can get it done the next few days. The last one, I just told him that it's going to be a while, because that particular, the third branch it's on State Line Road. I told him I have to work with various entities before I can even get authorization to build along 50 to do that. They said, that's fine, just get us the second one connected, and then work toward getting the third one. And I did reach out early in the year with the mayor of Greendale. Me and Mr. Harper went and jointly talked to them. I know that there were some concerns with past development, so we alleviated all their concerns. We have a contract with them, just NDA, as well as a mutually beneficial agreement, so that we can now work with them now that some of the obstacles are gone. But I told them that I couldn't commit to anything until I talked to everyone here, because ultimately those kind of decisions will be made by the council.
Agreed. They'll have to point you in that direction, but my only suggestion is as I said all along, is let's take care of Lawrenceburg first before
Correct.
you guys start branching out.
We've always said we want Lawrenceburg done first. Did you say you were doing, or did I mishear? You did one on State Line?
No, that's the one I told them that until I talk to you guys, until I talk to Greendale, I can't I can't even touch that one. One thing that I haven't brought up, and I tried to bring up last year, but I was told that, right now is not a time to bring it up, was our secondary protection ring and our secondary feed. It is on the corner of State Line and 50. So whenever and if ever we choose to go ahead and do that Civista Bank, getting that secondary protection ring set up is critical, because banks, especially once the hotel starts really ramping up their sales, we're going to need that. And it's just something that if we have to build to Civista Bank on State Line, that would be the time to do it. And but that's still down the road, and I'll discuss that with Mr. Weldon when we meet next week.
I got a few questions. How do you decide who gets hooked up? You got 160 people waiting so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more signing up every day?
Correct, sir.
So if you're doing 2 a day, and say you get 4 signed up that day, so you're 2 behind actually. How do you decide where you're going to hook up at?
Luckily, I've got somebody else that does all the scheduling, and they work closely with the electric department. It's Rachel Murphy. You guys all know her. She works up front. She's the only one that can schedule residential installs.
Okay.
And she works closely with the electric to do that. If she has questions, she comes to me. She comes to Mike, and we work out a plan to make sure that we can get the customers that sign up first.
All right, so if you have 160 and you got more signing up every day, it seems like it might benefit us to bring a company in to help out hooking all these up, because the quicker we hook them up, the more money we're going to make to pay back.
That's correct. So we have a contractor, and basically what I told the contractor is just finish the difficult things that we need experienced fiber to the home person, I've told, just do the large Coyote boxes, the ones where we've got our main trunk lines coming in, because our guys are capable of doing the home installs. I know that one thing that I actually talked to HR about, and she asked me to mention this as well, was last year, one of the linemen either retired or he left LMU, and so there was a position opened, and they filled it with a fiber tech. And we had the interviews, and basically we just have not sent the formal notification to go ahead and get that gentleman on board.
Well, even if you hire one more tech doing it, I don't think that's gonna help cut down that $160 person waiting list.
Well, I can ask the contractor to do more, but that just costs us more money that, which we would save if we did it
We
in-house.
want one that would come in and hook up the homes, not
The same-
not the bigger things.
Well, the same guy can do both if we need him to. I just didn't want him to bring in any additional staff, so we can, I know right now, we're trying to be as frugal as possible when we do this, because ultimately, until we stabilize our revenue streams, we want to keep our expenses to an all-time low.
Right, yeah, because you're operating at a loss right now, which is
Correct.
understandable while you're building it out. The question I have, I think piggybacks on Tony. So we got 2 people hooking people up every day, right?
Well, we have each team leader, the 2 main fiber techs, they also have a person that they're training, which is electric staff, so they'll be dual use.
Okay.
And so we've got 4 there. We've got another one. I just haven't gotten around to sending a letter to all the people that applied for the job that didn't get it, as well as the person that we did pick.
Well, here's a concern I have. You got to work in tandem, right?
Together, yes.
Yeah.
So 5 people isn't going to do you any good. You're always going to have an odd amount.
Well, it's to give some of the people a day off. So like, before, at one point, we had all the fiber techs working 5/10s, and there was just way too much overtime, so we're like, well,
About
that's not really.
5/8s.
That, I'm
And
fine
the
with
only
that.
reason I
That's
say
just-
that, because right now, are they on 4/10s?
I believe so,
So you've got somebody off on Monday, somebody off on Friday.
correct.
So that means you don't have 2 people working together.
No, we do. Can I explain this?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah. Is it okay if I explain it?
Sure.
So we have,
Come to the podium, please, if you would. and state your name.
my name is Mike Harper, Lawrenceburg Electric Department. We have a lineman with a fiber tech, so we have 2 fiber guys here at all times. Working 5/8 don't matter. Now, we're taking one of my linemen away to put him back to his regular duties, and this fiber guy is going to replace him in a fiber spot. And my other lineman will continue to do fiber work because he's comfortable doing it and he's good at it. So you'll have essentially 4 fiber guys. This truck goes to this address, this truck goes to this address. My other guys, I have a few guys that are currently doing build-outs, laterals, undergrounds, things like that. When we can, we do 2 a day, possibly 3, but these guys all have a task every day to do an address.
So what you're doing is you're taking a guy back to your department, and the 5th guy I was talking about would be actually a 4th guy.
The 5th guy will be the even guy.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be no,
But what I'm saying though is are they working 4/10s?
yeah, you have 2 guys that are off on Fridays, and then you have 2 guys that are off on Mondays as well.
But what I was trying to get to, I mean, the residents have been waiting on this fiber for 2 years. They were promised. 2 years ago, they were supposed to be hooked up.
It's been a slow process, but we're starting to pick it up now.
And I don't blame nobody for it, but what can we do to cut this 160 person waiting list down?
Well, how we pick them,
What
It's
can we do?
110.
That
yeah,
160
we have,
160 are hooked up.
yeah, we have 160 hooked up, and he
I know it's
has,
not a big difference.
yeah,
All right.
it's all right, it's all right.
100 of them anyway.
I can try to put 2 more linemen and take them off their maintenance duties and just put them and have them do the same thing.
That's what I was going to mention. What about your work log right now? Are we going to suffer in some other areas? I mean,
We can manage. I'm sure we can manage. You know what I mean? they do things that are supposed to be electric wise, and you know, some of the build outs can possibly wait while they do some home installs to get that list put down. You know, it is starting to rise a little quicker. How we do it is we pick location that is set. So Miss O'Brien, for example, she's ready. It's down her road. She's on the list. Someone else down the street, fiber's not in their area. Well, we don't pick them, but we do is we put them to the side, get these people done, and then we turn around and we also send my other guys over to do laterals, underground services to them. However, that's how we decide to do it.
Let me ask a question. When
yeah.
this fiber optic you're talking about, is it like Comcast coming in and hooking a cable up, like what they got on their poles and things?
Yeah, essentially same thing.
Pretty much the same thing. So you got to run cable all inside.
The difference, yeah,
to go wherever they got it.
Yep.
To do that.
Wherever they want it.
Yeah.
So we hit the house, and then they have 100 feet from there.
Yeah.
If they want it inside their wall or across the whole house, it just depends on how it. So an install doesn't just take 5-10 minutes, guys.
That's what I was asking.
It takes like 5-6 hours. It's not something
people.
that you can just do. And having 2 people has cut it to where we can move them around a little quicker. So next week we're going to try to do 3 to 4 guys, 3 to 4 addresses a day. And so I'm going to try to pick it up. You know, this is all process that we're all getting new to. Bear with us. We're definitely working as hard as we can to accomplish these feats.
I have a question. Mushi had stated that you guys have already interviewed someone for the IT job.
Correct.
And I guess you went through with Mr. Harper and whoever else to make sure that this person was a qualified individual.
Correct. I wrote the job description. You know, as per your internal bylaws, we have to give opportunity to existing employees, and there was 3 employees that interviewed for the job.
You say employees now. Is this a new hire, or is this within the city with the CDA?
This is within the city. 2 of the employees were from work on the city side.
Okay.
One of them was a utility employee. And myself, Miss Jenny Felix, Mr. Colin Browning, and Mr. Mike Harper interviewed these folks, and we made a decision on the best person, which they were all they were all qualified or could have been trained. One person had the certifications that I require. They had.
Those were what were their qualifications? Because if you're saying an IT person, and I'm not saying negative here, but you're hiring them within the city.
Correct.
It makes me wonder, are they going to need trained as well to move forward?
This person has already been trained.
Okay.
He comes from that side. He moved to, I would rather not give away who the owner is,
That's
but
not what I'm asking.
I asked to see fiber and splicing certifications because this person is going to be a fiber tech. Their primary goal is going to be home installs and, more importantly, splicing. So this person has been certified in fiber splicing, and
Thus, it's going to leave a void in either the civil city side or the LMU side.
correct. Well, there is some concerns about that, but we have a contingency plan for that. We can address that with Ms. Felix. She'd be happy to give you some insight on how that transition is going to happen. I talked to her because we were originally going to inform the folks yesterday, but I wanted to let you guys know before we informed anybody that this is how we're moving forward.
That's good.
And if you have any questions regarding that, we can address those.
At the end of the day, if you guys feel comfortable with that person, I mean.
We do, and that's why this person is he's going to be a perfect fit. He's already been vetted. Mainly my concern was, 1, is he qualified?
Right.
2, how is he going to be able to work with the electric staff? Because ultimately, that's going to be his second family. And those guys are very close-knit, and they work in tandem, 10 hours a day. Whoever took that position has to be able to work with Mr. Harper and his staff, and he's comfortable with that. And more importantly, the electric department is comfortable with this gentleman. And so ultimately, if they're all good, we shouldn't have, I don't foresee any issues with this particular existing employee.
It's not a fiber tech moving up to the IT, is it? Because then we're gonna lose a fiber tech.
No, this is a existing non-telecom utility staff member that is going to be a fiber technician.
Those three people, internal people that signed the bid,
Correct.
so you're saying is, one is, above the other two in qualifications,
Correct.
is not necessarily on seniority.
No, this has to do with, like, one of the things that the job description stated was that we would prefer someone that is certified in fiber installation, is certified, and has experience in fiber splicing.
And they're already certified, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
And they sent the proof to Jenny. And so that's why it was just a logical choice. The other two were not fiber certified and had zero experience. Great employees, and I'm sure that they could easily be trained. The reason we chose the person we did is because that person has previous experience in that particular field.
Yeah.
So can you tell me where we're at up on top of the hill?
Yes, that's
Had some people ask me about Bel Air and all that up there.
Oh, okay. Well, so Bel Air, that particular street is, it's a little troublesome due to all the apartments there. It's all underground. That's why I've kind of put it on the back burner. But I have a list of every street that still remains and the approximate time frame that we're going to do those. If you want, I can go through those, or I can type them up and email them to you.
Why don't you send them out in an email?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, that way we could tell them what's going on.
That way, when they get asked questions,
Like one example that might be relevant to one of the folks sitting up there is the row homes on Walnut Street. So on my schedule, I have it to commence with construction between February 1st and February 7th. So that's coming up real quick. And so that was second on my list of areas to finish, even though the majority of Walnut Street is complete. But those row homes, because it's underground in the particular way that it was a little more troublesome than connecting homes in other areas, and that's why I've been hesitant to take care of that particular location. But according to my own schedule, it's supposed to be in construction this week, and it looks like one of the gentlemen, they're on our schedule. So we want to make sure that we adhere to that schedule.
so one last question I have, so it's safe to assume that, and I get why, I mean, you gotta go after the low-hanging fruit first, get the easier ones hooked up. Let's get everybody hooked up we can, right? Anybody with underground is gonna be sort of on the back burner.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Now, go ahead, if you want to discuss the underground construction, it's a little more troublesome, it's a
We
little
need two
more time-consuming.
podiums.
That's fine.
No, we have, you guys passed last year to order, we bought a plow. And actually, this plow, you can plow it in. Now the boring aspect does take some time. We're at 3 Mile Ridge, by the way. And we're getting ready to start plowing all that into all the buildings there. The plow, you can do 100-foot safely in less than 5 minutes. Yes, it just goes 18 inches, vibrates very vigorously, and you can run it as quick as you want, depending on the sediment you're running it through. So definitely, we can move it, and it's moving, and it doesn't tear the yard up either. It leaves a little line, grass folded back over, and over time it will just come back through. But if we could always throw some grass seed down, especially you guys. Yeah, I mean it barely does anything to it.
Was yours underground?
Yes,
You guys are hooked up already?
they will be tomorrow.
We told them to you last.
We're all coming to your house to watch TV and see how this works.
Super Bowl.
And Mr. Mayor, I think it would be helpful for you to define low-hanging fruit, because when I hear that, I hear about some of these larger accounts that are fairly close to being able to be hooked up, like the Event Center, LCD, that we might have some of the infrastructure already in place that are going to actually be big benefits as far as the rates that we will receive.
Yeah,
understand we wanna
when-
get the
when I
residents
said,
hooked up.
Yeah, good point, great point. When I said that, I meant, obviously, I thought roads and such that were overhead is much easier to get completed before the underground. Talking about, when you talk about the event center and stuff, there's some other things that are we gotta settle on the contract piece of it and things like that. But that's what I meant.
Okay.
It was more of the, you know, if you go down a road and it's all, overhead utilities, I think it's easier.
Yeah, it's fairly easier, obviously, to just
Then
run
to
a
bore.
cable overhead 16 feet off the ground,
Yeah.
other than trying to plow it and get. It takes 2 days, regardless. You have to call and locate, so everything takes 2 days, and then you just go in and you verify from there what your route is.
So how do you, when you're running that underground like that, do you run all the way up to the house?
Mm-hmm. We
You
put
just bring it
a
out from there?
small utility box on the side of the house. There's a splice in that box, and out of that box goes a whole different fiber cable that goes into the house, that goes into the back of their ONT, which in return runs their modem
I know
slash
you
wireless
guys
router.
was talking about you're gonna have TV and all that. Do they have to have a special, different kind of cable that comes to their television? Or the same ones we got now, or?
We're not doing television.
No,
right
it's
now.
not. There's
Oh,
no
you're not
television.
on
So
TV
this is a
right now?
Wi-Fi. So when they're talking about
Thought it
TV,
was
if you
in.
have like a Prime Streams or a Fire TV or something hooked to your TV, obviously it's going to run it a little better than it would just directly connecting in from like a Comcast or something.
The modem, though, is the modem provided by LMU for?
If they want it.
If they want it, okay, is that a monthly lease?
What's the benefit of
Is that a monthly lease on that? Yeah,
Yes, there is.
how much is that a month?
I think it's like $5.
$5, okay.
What's the benefits of the in-house modem from you guys?
We can maintenance it. We can help them out with it.
All right.
Plus,
Just warranty wise?
Go ahead.
well, first of all, like, our modems compared to our competition are a third of the price. We charge $5 a month for a gigabit capable modem that runs on 2 dual bands as well. Just to purchase that, over a 2-year period, you're spending $120, $5 a month. You don't have to worry about it. If it breaks, come and fix it. The reason that we prefer it is if there is an issue where you lose internet, if you're using our modem, I or whoever is troubleshooting can see all the way up into the operating system of the modem. Now, if you go to Best Buy or wherever and purchase one, legally, we are only bound to where we terminate, which is the, where the fiber ends. So that ONT, it's an optical, network terminal. All it is fiber in and then Ethernet or Cat5 or Cat6 out. So if you go and purchase a modem at Best Buy or wherever, technically, our job ends at that ONT. So if you have a problem with the modem, I mean, most likely, because Mike's a nice guy, he's probably gonna help anyways. But
Depends what
according
day
to our
catch
law,
you
we
on.
don't have to do anything after. That's, but also, like, I understand, you know, at my house, I have Comcast. And it's $13.50 a month to rent a modem. Just for the modem rental.
I have that modem too. It's terrible.
Well, so, okay, if I actually used it, they also give you that same option. You just have to say no. And I went and bought a cheapo modem at Best Buy or at Walmart or wherever, and it's still better than theirs, but I don't have to pay that $13.50 a month. You don't have to spend the $5, but like that price point, you can't beat it, because if it breaks, are you gonna go buy another $200 modem?
You also have to consider obsolescence too, as technology changes. That, you know, that $5, you might continue to pay that for the life, but if a newer style modem comes out and that one's obsolete, then they're going to upgrade that modem as well.
Correct.
As we go along, not only are they going to fix it if it breaks, but they're also going to upgrade it to the next one.
But
Will you upgrade them for free then?
for the
So
modems
everybody's
if they
got
go
the money?
obsolete.
Yeah, if it gets
Oh
off,
yeah,
you got the newer
but
models out.
the
will
ones
you
we
exchange
ordered
them?
are literally top of the. They already have gigabit capabilities, so I don't imagine us offering more than gigabit service in the next 20 to 50 years. Now I could be wrong because
Don't have
technology
to worry about it, Tony.
expands. But one other thing I wanted to mention that's also very critical and that we are working on is the police cameras. We started this project. We finished Ludlow Hill Park, we finished Arch Street Park, and then we just stopped. But there's more than 2 parks in this town, and we're working with the police department and as well as Miss Emery upstairs to get that taken care of.
Can I highly encourage that we continue to do that? I mean, should I make a motion in the form that we
No,
authorize
it's
them?
already in motion.
Okay, I mean, that's just,
What about
we-
the swimming
We
pool?
got, they.
Because
we
I
got
always hear the
set
cameras don't
priorities.
work
okay.
at the
The
swimming
cameras
pool.
don't work at the swimming pool?
Half the time they don't work, no.
What's that?
They're at the swimming pool. The cameras hardly ever worked over there.
Okay,
so-
I'll add,
there's-
that,
and-
it's not on my list, but I'll add it to the list and
And I was told they were waiting on the fiber. I don't know if the fiber's all in there. or
fiber's
not.
been there for a long time.
When did this happen?
All summer.
Come on, ask him.
She would get told that those cameras aren't working. They were waiting on new ones or something.
This past summer.
Yeah, it's past summer.
I don't know about that.
We,
I'd have to ask Schneider, but I thought they were online.
Yeah, some of those, like the splash pad, the pool deck, they're online.
Okay, they're online.
as, the fibers we have, like, that was
just-
fixed. I remember there was a cut at one point, and it was some emergency, and we went in
You guys went and
and.
hooked it up.
Yeah,
I think the electric department went over and hooked it up
the fibers at the pool?
at the pool.
Yeah, we did that.
Does that include the adult center too? The cameras around it?
And we don't,
And the,
We didn't do anything around the adult center, but I know the cameras at the
Yeah, so we hooked them up in
pool.
the back, Carlson, and that, he let us in there.
okay.
Winter.
So what about the adult center, which also takes care of the skate park there?
That I was not, but I mean, we can certainly add that to the list. I'm sure if it's a public safety issue, that's something that we want to make sure that the police
Skate
have all
park's
the.
Online.
It is online? That's what I'm asking. I didn't know if it was online or not.
We remember we had those problems with vandalism about I don't know, not too long ago.
I thought that was Arch Street.
That was
But
when-
is
no,
is
this
it all
was
the newer
skate-
cameras? Is it all the newer cameras? Because a lot of them,
We've
when I used to
installed-
look at them, it looked like Bigfoot running around out there. You couldn't tell who the heck.
These
they were.
ones are high def, and if you go to the police department and look at the screens that they have in their internal office,
difference.
they're crisp.
Okay. All right.
Just so I can update Justin on your suggestion on the parks and cameras for the parks and such. All these cameras are purchased, okay? It's been sort of in waiting, and I'm not gonna get into those reasons. We also have cameras that have been purchased for US 50, that the police department had desired for their 360 cameras that would be placed at every intersection on US 50 within our city limits. And they're working with Moosh now and also with NDOT and whoever else needs to be involved. And I think Mike's gonna be brought in on that as well and determine, there's a list of priorities out there. Those cameras, there's a couple tunnel cameras for the schools that need to be hooked up and the parks.
speaking of that list of those priorities, is there any way that we as the USB could have a copy of that list?
Oh, sure.
That way we're better understanding, and if we do have questions from our constituents, we can let them know.
Sure can.
Is that good with you?
Moosh, can you get that for him?
Yep, I've actually, I'll just make a copy of it. Right, I guess our first meeting, I believe it's either tomorrow or the day after, is to get the priority from the police. Like, I know which ones are super easy for us to hook up, but I don't know if those are their priorities. Like, the school tunnel, our fiber is literally sitting like 20 feet from it. All we have to do is bring it 20 feet, and Bittner and Indicom can turn that on. Then there's other ones that are gonna be a little more problematic. For example, anyone that involves NDOT's gonna be, there's just more red tape to go through with them. Luckily, last year, when we had to rip up High Street to get the event center, the fiber in there, while that was going on, I went ahead and requested that we get fiber across the street while the street's all ripped up, so that now I don't have to worry about ripping the street to do the parking garage or any of the stuff for the trail, which that's huge because we're gonna have to rip that street again. So that's the fiber. The other thing the last thing, and I promised to make this quick, was the wireless. So I know that, you know, previously that was quite a sticking point, and I think, like, if the council wants, we can at least start with the parks, get some free Wi-Fi up there, and we can slowly expand it out so that you can meet your obligations that were left unattended last year.
Be great.
I mean, we want to do that, but not at the cost of hooking the residents up. I mean, wouldn't you guys agree? I mean, it is going to be good to get Wi-Fi in this park so you can sit
Well,
there in
some
your car,
stuff,
but-
like, for example, Ludlow Hill or Arch Street, we had already brought fibers in there to do your cameras. We left extra fiber, so it's just a matter of shoving a Wi-Fi access point to that fiber. So it's not like that's a very time-consuming one.
Right.
But others, like, for another example, is this Civic Park. I put Wi-Fi a while ago in there, just nobody knows what the code is. But if you go out there and you put your phone out, you're gonna find a Wi-Fi signal. And so I can just make that without a password, and then they'll be, like, that park, it's already ready to go whenever we want it. It's just a matter of flicking a switch.
Yeah.
And you guys just tell me when, and we can start working on those as well.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Roulette. It would be nice to have a list of priorities. I mean, because I think some of those projects, such as Ludlow Park, it makes a lot of sense. Just while we're up there, we're messing with the cameras. Go ahead and hook that Wi-Fi up. It's not going to be that much of a difference. If we can go in tandem, and I think it's worth saying, even with as we hook up residents, if there's already large splices, and I don't know all the nomenclature, with the boxes that are in place that are close to businesses, is it worth us going after some of those larger capacity contracts? I mean, those are the ones that
They pay the
ultimately they're
bills.
going to be paying the bills, and I know that, and I think other people need to hear that too. Us, our $20, $30 service, you multiply that by 200 people, or multiply a $2,000 or $3,000 a month service, and
A perfect example is the industrial park behind Hague Ford. Our fiber is literally a few feet from it. We've had customers they've told me, we'll sign a contract today if you can get us fiber. Even though we're just a few feet, we don't use any of Greendale's infrastructure. Technically, that industrial
still
park
need their
is in.
permission though to
Yes,
encroach
and
on their land.
I don't have, like, obviously, the council and the mayor of Greendale, he knows how much those people need it. So he's willing to allow it. Do we finish Lawrenceburg and not even worry about them?
Finish Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, and I
Let's
think
get
that's an
Lawrenceburg
outlier
done
just
first.
because it's not a convenient spot where we can run tandem as we're hooking up people.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you say finish Lawrenceburg, I'm assuming we're talking all the major infrastructure, like the roads, the off-ramps, on-ramps.
He's talking about specifically the residents.
When you get your 110 list down to 0.
So you're saying finish the build out?
Yes, get them done. And it also, I want to comment on, I know you want to go for the bigger businesses because it's more money coming in, but I look at it a little different way too. I mean, I'd like to do half and half or something, because it's those residents that are paying the $20 a month. That was their electric rate money going in here to build this.
Yeah.
They're the ratepayers, so they got just as much right as the bigger businesses. I don't want some mom and dad with little kids sitting there waiting 3 months because they're going to work all the time hooking up a big business.
Right,
there,
I agree, and that's why I think there's, it just needs to need to understand
Well,
how
we
to
can-
steward in tandem. If it's accessible and it's, it makes sense, and I know who's going to determine that whether it makes sense to go ahead and hook this large business up. But we need to have these conversations, and if we have a priority list and we see, hey, this is a offshoot we could do at a reasonable time table, then let's go after that. And at the same time, be vigilant about getting all of these 110 people hooked up individually. I mean, I'm one of them, If I'm the last one, if it's better for our city to, start.
Where do you live, sir?
Be liquid, yeah.
Oh, where do you live?
Yeah, I'm gonna abstain from that.
Okay, I've got my schedule of remaining streets. I could.
Lives on Crossbow Trails.
Yeah.
there you go.
I know a few folks that live on that street, and that street is available. You just have to get on you just need to talk to Miss Rachel Murphy, and she'll get you on the list.
I think just communication with, and these are common sense. I mean, Mr. Harper back here, I mean, you guys are more than capable of, making these decisions, and this is just
Yeah.
sense, and that's I think worth as much as to say that rather than just say, hey, we're just only hooking up residents and we just bypassed a really great, an opportunity here, as we go along. I want the residents hooked up. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah, they're the ones that, they're the ones you have to see every day. I mean, at the end of the day. But another big project is, I think the gentleman told me it's 160 condos. That's gonna be coming, they're gonna start construction on that pretty soon, and that's another, avenue where, for that particular building, they have their own telecom management company. They want a dedicated pipe from us, so we will not be selling to any of the residents. We're just selling a single large pipe to the facility owner. And
that's going to be a massive contract for us within the fiber utility, I'm assuming.
Well, they're trying to nickel and dime us for everything, but that's their job.
Right. Well, it's our job to leverage the people and to get it to maximize.
Exactly.
The profit we get from it
And
as well,
so we're going to work with them,
so.
and that's something where, once again, we'll need the mayor's assistance. And so as long as we work closely with the mayor's office, even Mr. Messmore with respects to economic development, because there are a lot of areas where we can expand the tax base.
Right now, we just want to get taxpayers, people that's already on this, that wants to get on it, let's get the houses done. I mean, that first.
Just so you guys know, we're meeting weekly now with utilities on this kind of stuff. But to get back to what Mike Harper was saying, I think if he's able to dedicate a couple more people, we cut it in half. So I mean, almost cut it in half of the time it's going to take to get that other 110. Now I know every time you get 2 hooked up, you may have 4 come in.
Right.
But it is, and
Which is great,
that's
though.
okay. We want people signing up, but at some point, once we get some revenue established and going, maybe at some point you're going to have to look at maybe a contractor to help out, just to try and get the rest of this stuff buttoned up. But I think that
I agree with you. I think if you got a contractor, you got 30 people, you could probably do it in what, a week? I don't know how much they're going to cost us, but I mean, flush it up and get it in there pretty quick. Would it be cheaper going that way?
Well, that's just that's what I'll work with Dell next week, and basically I'm going to come up with 4 scenarios. Each scenario will be just a little different. Scenario 1, we just stick with Mr. Abbott's plan. We only do Lawrenceburg, and nothing happens until all of Lawrenceburg is done. 1 is we do continue with Lawrenceburg, but we do like maybe a small industrial park that just happens to be right where our fiber is. 3, we do Lawrenceburg and Greendale simultaneously until we have more than enough revenue.
I say that's not going to go up if somebody in Greendale gets hooked up before someone in Lawrenceburg. So
I know. Well, the thing is that when I say Greendale, I'm talking about just starting the actual building the main trunks.
Yeah.
Because 89% of Lawrenceburg is done, and I'm not talking about the drops. I'm talking about our main feeds, because ultimately the drops, they're going to continue throughout. But it's the main trunk lines that I'm talking about doing. No customer will get hooked up in Greendale until Lawrenceburg is done. But, for example, before you even connect a single home, first, before you even get a single construction crew out there, a design must be done.
Well, I think if we're talking about priorities, and if I could speak on that, I'm personally, I'm not the decision maker up here. You guys are, but why would we want to go out and spend capital on things that we may do in the future in Greendale or somewhere on the outlier, when I think right now we need to concentrate on getting the fiber completed here in Lawrenceburg, getting people hooked up, getting our own businesses hooked up. Let's just try to get our cash flow going before
Okay.
we take on adding more to
Yeah.
that.
There's so many variables and so many
Well,
unknowns.
that's what I think, once you look at the financial models, that'll make it, give you a more educated path to make that decision.
I agree.
And ultimately, that's what I have to be able to get you guys to understand, okay, well, these are my options, this is what it's gonna cost, these are the benefits, and then you can decide on whichever direction you wanna move.
These 110 people that we got on this list, I don't know which one of yous would need to contact the contractor, but could you ask them what it would take for them to be able to do, let's say, half of those, while our people are doing the other half? That way, if you can get sort of caught up on those 110,
Yeah.
and then you can start working on these other outliers, or whatever you want to call it, but the rest of the people, the rest of the businesses in Lawrenceburg, I mean, because we're going to have to start approaching these businesses from a economic standpoint.
I've got another question to add to that 110 list. And I've had excuses for the last 2 years, 5 or 6 different excuses why it's not done. And I tell these people, and then it's something else 3 months later and something else. And you probably know which buildings I'm talking about. It's Fairhaven East and Fairhaven West. I'm getting asked constantly, when am I going to get our internet? And I don't have an answer for them. And I'm tired of giving them answers that don't work out, end up being right. It's the owner's fault. They don't have the right equipment in there, or it's always something. I want to know right now. I can write down, and when these people ask me tomorrow, I can tell them this is exactly what's going on.
How difficult is it to get
Which one would you like done first? Fairhaven East or the one next to the library?
Now, that's a loaded question. If I say east, the west people going to hate me. If I say west, east people going to hate me.
Well,
and since Lee's
right,
sitting here,
the reason I asked,
Right now is not the time to prioritize, because I think you guys need.
that is a big project because of the
you guys
internal
need,
wiring.
You need a list, and prioritize that list so they're not willy-nilly on where they're going.
I would.
That's
Okay, go
what
ahead,
we
Mr.
ran
Ouellette.
into
Go ahead.
as well.
I have a question for Mr. Harper. Are you feel comfortable with an outside contractor coming in here and helping with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have somebody that's he's essentially on staff right now.
Is Erie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job. He's been doing it for like 35 years. He's actually helped us on applications. Like, we've took some of our guys, let him go with them. He's helped us with applications, showed us how to do idea boxes. And in return, we're able to do some of this ourselves as well.
But is he just a one-man company, or?
No, he has 3 people that work with him. And then now, when some of the bigger jobs, he'll bring like 2 other people in that he has. But he has other people that are staff, but they just aren't here. He has other jobs other places, but he is currently here because this is a big job for him.
And I know I understand there's a lot of complexity to what goes into this. I mean, I would like to see some type of a cost comparison to where how much it's going to cost for Erie versus our guys, and at the same time being very cognizant that we are not neglecting the reliability of our electrical utility through this. I mean, I think it's great if we can use our guys, but all the research that I've done across the whole nation says nay on municipal fiber utilities because it neglects and takes your attention off of creating a reliable
Well, I can't tell you
other
during
utilities.
the build out, it takes some time. It takes a lot of my guys to do this, so having this help would help. But when the build out's done, then that's a little different.
Yeah.
I can take a couple more guys from my staff and do home installs.
We just have to have a cost comparison to
Yeah,
see
it's just-
if this is worth just biting the bullet and
Yep,
paying it out, or if we
absolutely.
can just wait, if it's
If
gonna
we
be a
can get
little
some
more
help to
time.
get ahead and knock these 110 people out, make some people happy, and in return, we're able to keep going.
we're just letting them do, even just Riviera, like he's doing the main construction.
Yeah, he was,
Let him do the drops. That's what, 168 homes right there.
he can do those.
And half of them want it right now. So that's,
And I think from what I've seen, it looks amazing, but I also see the claims. I know that, we're paying him, there's a lot of money that's going out to pay him. Not saying he's not worth it, because he likely is.
If we keep him off the underground stuff, he's a lot cheaper.
Okay.
Like, because when you're just paying an hourly wage, not only when you're paying hourly wage and you're paying, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk numbers here, am I allowed? When you're paying $275 for each pedestal he puts in the ground, and he puts in 10 of them,
Yep.
and then, even though we're assisting with a couple of my guys as well,
Right.
we're still paying him $65 an hour, and
Yep. Right.
and however many people he has with him, plus we're paying for the equipment that's going in.
And I think that's
Could
why
we
we're
get
even-
away from the hourly wage by, getting company in saying this is what we want done?
Yeah, you could probably-
give us a bid,
Well,
a
it's
quote?
Probably do a bid.
Do we have an engineered plan on all this, the whole big
exactly.
picture? Because he can't give you a bid if we don't have a plan of it.
We have an engineered plan.
So I mean, he could base his bid off of that plan. then.
Hourly rate is never the way to go.
Yeah.
That's gonna get you every time.
Oh, of course, you know, go ahead.
Just for you to understand, we are all new at this, and we are like shooting from the hip, and
Oh, I get it.
and we really don't know this devised plan, and we really want to proceed, but we have no knowledge on how to proceed, and we have to really rely upon you guys
Well, I think that
to
all
do
goes
so.
back to the plan that Doug Weldon, or Mr. Weldon, and
Yeah.
Moosh have to put together to give you guys. After that, you guys can kind of make better decisions, and you'll also be able to get the engineered plans of those as well.
We greatly appreciate all your guys' help.
absolutely.
And leading us that way, but again, we're blind to it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can help you see better.
The engineering plan, I mean, we can email you that. Like,
Yeah.
the whole city was mapped out before a single thing was constructed. And
Well, that's gonna be interesting to try to read on our standpoint. I think better it's
Sit
gonna
with
be,
you guys at
you know,
some point and do the
a
same thing.
contractor, an outside contractor would be able to give us a solid bid
Right.
based upon that, and that would help us to evaluate. You know, Mr. Harper, you would say, hey, me and my guys, we can get this hooked up in 45 days.
Yep.
And it's gonna cost us $600,000, or this company might say we can get you hooked up in 23 days, and it's gonna cost 1.2. You know, so, and we have to, that's the decision we're gonna have to say, go for it or not,
And
you
feel
know.
comfortable doing so.
No, absolutely. And costs will change every day, obviously. I mean, we get more hooked up every day.
Yeah, that's
So
dynamic.
the more stuff we can knock out, obviously the costs will get a little lower.
also, and this is something to keep in mind, is like today was, 27, 28 degrees. I told all the splicers that they are not to do any splicing if it's not above 32, because that fiber is so brittle that then, like last year we did this, it shattered all this fiber because it was 20 degrees, they were outside, and it's just glass and it's too brittle. So if it's below freezing, then they can do stuff other than splicing out in the field, because that's how they shatter. And then it takes 1 week to fix an hour's job that, if it was warm, they could have done, but.
Yeah, they could go over to the Fairhavens, put the main boxes up.
It sounds like we
Yeah.
could sit here all night and discuss this, and I'm telling you, there's probably.
I've got Fairhaven's equipment downstairs. I can make that a priority.
Just give me just something to tell them. I just want something to tell them that's
I'd rather
true.
see somebody show up and you tell them something.
Well, they probably won't believe me after 5 or 6 other excuses, but at least
I'm saying.
Show up there tomorrow and check it out and give you an evaluation.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We're afraid to ask any. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you,
We
gentlemen.
greatly appreciate
you.
your time.
Appreciate
We
your
do.
time,
Yes,
you guys.
very much. I feel a little better now.
Okay.
That's a long part there. I forget where the heck we're even at.
Oh, we're just, well, there's no new business. No old business. Really went through a lot of old business right there.
We gotta go a little bit longer, Your Honor, because if I get home too soon, I gotta go grocery shopping.
Comments from the audience then? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He told you you're getting hooked up tomorrow. What else you want?
This has been an interesting discussion, considering I was probably one of the first people to sign up way back when they first started talking about it. The 160 people went ahead of me. That was my question. I can't believe we have 160 people hooked up and
How's wrong with it?
110 waiting. Are there only 270 people in town that have shown an interest so far?
I think a lot of them are, I think they're waiting to see.
A lot of them are under contracts too.
Oh. Okay, well, that makes sense. I was like, I can't believe out of 5,000 or so residents that only 270 want it.
There's plenty more that want to.
Okay.
Instead of creating a bigger backlog, they've kind of just been like,
I haven't gone down signed up.
yeah.
All right.
Brett and I think we're gonna be last ones done anyway. Ours.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Abbott,
Poor Brett, only because you live by him.
Mr. Abbott did have a good point. in that there are a lot of people such as myself.
Okay.
Because I thought it was gonna be last year, so, but when I moved into my house in May, I signed a 1-year contract.
Yeah, they're under
So
contract
I
still.
can't
Oh,
sign up. I'm gonna sign up anyway if it does come before
Yeah.
and just.
I know a lot of people
That's my.
in
that's
our
my biggest
area,
thing.
they're waiting till somebody gets it that they know, so they can see
If it
what it's
works
gonna
good.
work or how good it is.
okay.
He's close, isn't he? Doesn't Randy, Randy has it, correct?
Randy, yeah, but Randy won't feed us, so I ain't going over there.
I think we got
I'm talking
different Randy Avenue.
That's what we're
and
talking
Randy-
about, Randy Avenue.
Yeah.
Randy Avenue.
Yeah,
We've got people on Randy Avenue that have been hooked up for some time now.
yeah.
That's one of the biggest questions I've heard from people. They want to say, when am I going to get hooked up because my Comcast's agreement's ready to run out and I got to sign another one. And that's why they want to know, when am I going to get hooked up? And a lot of them are still under contract because it didn't happen, so they signed up another year.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna have the same predicament because that promotional rate that we sign up for a year, that's $119.99 for a gigabit, was what we have, or 120. I can't remember. I don't know exactly what we pay. 134. It's gonna turn into $50 more expensive, if I don't sign up for another year, re-sign that agreement. So.
Okay. My other question was, I heard them mention something about some new condos going in. Where's that happening?
No, it's the new apartment complex.
Oh, apartment.
West High Street.
Okay, not condos. All right.
Sign up for that too.
Yeah.
I have one last thing that I've
Had your
been
time.
I've been talking to a company. I know one of the biggest gripes that when I first got here was lack of television and phone service.
You're here.
So there is a company that is very interested in supplying television and voice and phone using our existing network. And this is a no risk, no investment on our part. It would just be a matter of negotiating how much of that piece of the pie that they get, that we would get back revenue in lieu of letting them use their fiber, or our fibers. I told them that we can set up a meeting, but I want to know if you guys are even interested before I
I
set
would
up a
have
meeting.
to personally look into that a little bit more because don't want to get the cart too far ahead of the horse. I understand where you're coming from, but
Well, it'll be another revenue stream, like,
I understand that. But I mean, it seems like we're starting to branch off a little bit more on something else. And
And we don't yet have a complete network. Is
Yes.
the other.
well, they'll start with a partial, but if you guys are at least interested, then I can at least get them to set up a meeting, or at least send us a proposal.
It wouldn't
I have no
take,
problem with that.
it's not that it's really minute what they gotta do to hook the TV and the phone up, isn't it? It's not gonna be that big a deal, just by them pushing some buttons or something to do this?
I can't imagine it's that easy, but I know that physical construction, there would be none. It's just a matter of interconnecting with them, because they do have a large data center as well. And they're very interested in this area because of some acquisitions they've had with other companies that sell service in this area.
That sounds
I know
like a
a lot
great
of people
idea,
in
but
our area
I think
was
we need to
talking
put that on the
about it.
back burner. I mean, our
Okay.
heads are already spinning with the amount of information that we have, and there's so many variables and unknowns. And
Okay.
we gotta focus, and we gotta make a plan, and we gotta stick to that plan and get done what's here.
Maybe I can work with Mr. Weldon and just at least talk to them, get the process started, so that if he's comfortable with them, then he can approach you guys later on.
With the understanding that it's something that we would look into, correct?
Nothing, until you guys sign a contract, this is all just talk.
Well, and our job, and remember, I mean, guys, this is your very first meeting, and you're asked to run not only an entire utility company, but this fiber project, and it's not a bad thing to, what Moosh and I talked about today was really just Moosh helping me understand so that I can break this down and take it out of Moosh talk and put it into,
Layman's
people, I'm not as
Is
smart
that
as
attorney
Moosh.
talk?
Well, no,
English is not my first language.
I asked him to teach me, like a fifth grader, what is this? Start real simple, and even though we're midstream, really it's good to look at this as if it's a new project, so that you guys can make those decisions. Like Moosh said, he's gonna propose, maybe 4 different ways this could kind of end. But I think a good thing to do is to get that 10,000 foot view so that you guys understand it. and you kind of know where we've come from, where we are, and then where we could go forward, because any dollars that you spend at all moving forward need to be your decision and your informed decision. The only way to get there is, I think, for us to talk internally, roll that out, maybe in some work sessions, so we can have meetings that are just dedicated to this topic and just kind of start to learn. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for me. But I think we'll find a way to kind of all get on the same page, and then you guys will feel a lot better about making these decisions.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from the audience?
Well, I thought we were in old business. I got one question.
You're
Want me to sit out there?
on the
Want me
audience.
to sit out there now? Mike, would you come up to the podium? But we had voted before to include again into that Navajo, run electric to them out there.
He's getting us the information on it.
Yep.
Say, when's the date on that? And
May 31st.
make sure we want to.
So what I'm
this.
going to
I mean, I
do
think it's
is
a
I've
great
already
program.
gave the mayor some information on it, and we're going to put a cost together so you guys can see what it costs to send us out there. The only thing is you pay the wages. They put us up for 7 days. They fill us up before we leave. They fill us up while we're there. We fill up obviously on the way down, and whatever it costs to get back. It wouldn't essentially be like, going on an actual like storm break or something like that, but we'll be able to explain it to you guys a little better when we put it all together.
He's gonna put it all in.
There's actually a slideshow or
with
something
you.
that goes with it if you guys would ever want.
We actually seen the slideshow, but you guys did.
Oh, you guys have seen it? Yeah, there's a slideshow that goes with it. I can forward that to whomever.
Yeah.
So.
That'd be nice. Now, when is that?
May 31st.
May?
Yep,
Okay.
that's the spot that they had us scheduled for. And then we team up with Scottsburg Utilities and go with them. We go as a group.
It's a project that they've participated in.
I'd like
He's
to
gonna give
see,
us more
I'd like to see a
information.
copy of that slideshow.
Yeah, it's just a philanthropical.
So what I'll do is
project
I'll
that
send the
they're doing.
copy to the mayor and Dell can pass it off to you guys how he feels.
That's cool.
Thank you.
All right?
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now, are you caught up to us in the agenda?
If the wife is left to go grocery shopping, I'm good.
See, that's what you did that for. We are in comments, the audience. Anybody else?
Just for the record, you are being recorded. When you say this.
All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Your Honor, if I may, just a point of clarification. These claims, I know they say they go back to 11/18, but we've actually already approved the claims from 11/18 to 12/8/2019. So these claims that are up for approval tonight are just anything you see that's 12/8 to whatever that January date is. So just for the record.
Okay, so mine is saying 11/18 of 2019.
Yeah, and we just ran it back too far, so
Okay.
it should be 12/8 to that January date, because we approved everything up to 12/8/19 at the last meeting.
What is the January date?
Whatever that final date.
January
is.
15.
15th? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I entertain a motion to approve the claims that you have in front of you that are listed from December 8th to January 15th of 2020.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One thing I would like to add, though, I would like to spend some time with you so I can better understand this, sir.
Yeah, and I expect you to.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if you guys didn't need time. I don't expect to drop this off to you guys and you guys run away with me, so. I'm here, anytime you need me.
As soon as the clerk's office runs me off from going over there too often, I'll come your way. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We gotta
Motion
sign
carries.
again?
You got to sign.
Thank you.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Penny's being paid.
Lee, how are you?
There's no order to this.
No order, just sign.
That's where I'm heading right now.
Crystal, thank you.
Oh, wait, Lee.
I will.
We
We got to have some deal.